Hey everybody, how's it going? Today we're going to be going over and showing you how to install the Demco tabless base plate kit here on a 2022 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited. So a base plate kit is just going to be one of the many things that we need in order to successfully flat tow our Jeep here. Now what the base plate kit does is this serves as a permanent connection between the motorhome and our vehicle. So this actually is going to attach to our tow bar, and our tow bar is what connects to the motorhome. So it's going to serve as sort of a quick disconnect point so you can easily detach your motorhome from your vehicle when you need to head into town. So this is what our base plate kit looks like when it's installed on the vehicle here and we don't have our tow bar hooked up. Now, a couple things I want to point out is the finish on the base plate kit. It has a black powder coated finish, which is going to help protect it from rust and corrosion. A lot of the times when you're hooking up your tow bar or your removable ends here, you're going to be banging these metal parts onto the metal parts that are on the vehicle. And if you don't have a nice, strong, durable powder coated, it's going to nick that finish, exposing the bare metal underneath and causing the potential for rust. So having that nice, thick, durable powder coat is really going to keep things looking new. So a big thing with base plates when they're on the vehicle is how do they look? We don't really want to alter the look of our vehicle too much, not certainly any more than we have to. And I think the tabless design here of the base plate kit here does a good job because we can actually remove these arms here when we're not towing. And this is what it's just going to look like when we're driving around town. The black powder coated finish helps it blend in well with the vehicle here. It's not sticking out too much, and a lot of our components are actually tucked away back behind the skid shield and the bumper here. So the only thing we can see on this side over here is just going to be the base plate tab here, which protrudes a couple inches out, but it actually doesn't stick out past the end of the bumper. So overall, I would say this does have a nice appearance. It doesn't take away from the vehicle too much. So something else that Demco does that I really like about this base plate is that they include a trailer connector mounting bracket. So this actually comes with our base plate kit here, and there's going to be two tabs on either side of our base plate kit that we can attach this to. And what this is going to do is this is going to do a great job of housing all those additional accessories we need to flat to our vehicle, such as the trailer connector for the lighting system and the breakaway switch for our braking system. Everything is integrated into that one mount here, which makes for a nice, clean, finished install look. So another thing I really like about the Demco tabless base plate kit is going to be the wide range of compatibility we have with different tow bars and different manufacturers. So no matter what tow bar you have, you're going to be able to use this base plate kit. Now, if you have a Roadmaster tow bar, you will need an adapter purchased separately. But aside from that, all of your Demco, etrailer, Blue Ox, or even Kurt tow bars are going to be directly compatible with this base plate kit with no additional adapters needed, so you can just hook up and go. So keep in mind when you're not towing, and if you choose to remove these removable arms, which I do, it makes it a little bit cleaner, they don't stick out from the vehicle as much, you can actually install this protective cover here, which not only makes it look a little bit nicer, it's also going to do a great job of helping protect the inside of your base plate so you don't have to worry about any water getting in there, causing any internal rust. So when it's ready to hook up your tow bar, this is super easy. Granted, the process may vary a little bit depending on what exact tow bar you have, but it should be fairly standard. But we're just going to line up our tab with the tab on our base plate kit. And I'm going to look in here and roughly line up the holes. And then once we do get them lined up, you should be able to insert your pin through there. And once we've got that done, you'll go ahead and hook up your safety cables. So that's pretty much it. We just repeat the same process on the other side, and then we repeat the rest of the steps that we needed, such as those for our electrical connector or our breakaway switch. But as we said, pretty easy there. Should only take you a couple seconds per side. So the first step of our installation, we're going to be removing our bumper. And the first step to doing that is coming inside behind the edge of the bumper here in front of our grille. We're going to have a push pin fastener atop each side of our frame. So we're going to remove that using a flathead screwdriver. Just pry that center section out. Just like that. And then the bottom part should come out after. So next we're going to come underneath our Jeep here and remove the skid shield. So the skid shield is held in place with more of the same fasteners that we just removed. These look a little bit different, but you're basically just prying that center section out, and then the bottom half of it should come along with it. Now I think I'm going to switch over to a trim panel tool on these because it makes it a little bit easier there, but you should still be able to get them out with a flathead screwdriver as well. So now we should have 2 more screws on the bottom here, 1 on either side. We'll remove those with an 8mm socket, and then our skid shield should drop down. So now we're going to come underneath the vehicle here to the back of the bumper, because we're going to have 8 studs, 4 on either side there, holding the bumper to the bumper brackets, which is on the frame of the vehicle. So we're going to have 8 nuts in total we need to remove. You're going to use an 18mm socket. So the 2 bolts on either side of the inside of the bumper, a little hard to get a tool up there due to the shield here. So if you wanted to, you could actually take this down. There's a bolt on either side that we will move with a 16mm socket, and then it's just going to pop off, and you're going to have much more access to get your tools up in there so you can get those nuts off. And now with all of our nuts removed, we can go ahead and remove the bumper from the vehicle. Make sure you have a safe place you can set it aside so it doesn't get scratched. So it looks like we do have electrical connector here over on the passenger side frame rail, so we need to unplug that before we can remove the bumper completely. There's going to be a little tab there you're going to press, and then you're just going to pull out. So now on the outside of either side of our frame, we're going to have these brackets that we need to remove. With 1 single bolt, we're going to need a 16mm socket. So the brackets we're actually going to discard, but you do want to make sure you hold on to your bolts because we will be reusing these. We need to come to the back side of this bumper beam flange that we just removed the exterior flanges from, and we're going to be taping our flat washers that come in your kit over the holes on the back side on the 2 outside holes on each side. So you can use any sort of tape you have, masking tape, duct tape, whatever you have available. Just line up the holes as best as you can. Go ahead and tape them on there. And then we're going to come back with a knife here and remove some of that excess tape, and then we're going to cut a hole in the center there for our bolt to pass through. So now we're just about ready to set our base plate into position. So if you have an extra set of hands, that's certainly going to help you, or you can sort of prop it up with some jack stands. But before we do that, we want to get the bolts that we just removed from the outside holes there, the factory bolts. We're going to get those ready because we're going to be using these to secure the base plate initially to the vehicle. But before you put these in, you want to make sure you get some Loctite out of your kit and just put a nice thin line on each of those bolts. So now that we have our extra set of hands, we'll go ahead and slide the base plate on the vehicle. Now you do have to come down at an angle sort of in order to get it up into place. And then you're just going to be pivoting up until you can line up your holes on the side there. May take a little bit more maneuvering in order for you to get your bolt in place. So as you can see there, a little bit of maneuvering side to side there may require some pliers to sort of pull it in more, or a hammer to sort of nudge it in the right direction. But we do have it both sides on there now, just loosely secured with our bolts. And if you're shifted during installation, you may need to realign your washers with the holes. So next we're going to be taking one of the nut plates that comes in your kit along with one of these serrated head bolts. We're going to apply some Loctite to that bolt there. And we're going to be securing this to the outside of the vehicle here. So you're going to take your nut plate, and there's going to be a space between this metal skid shield and the opening of the frame underneath. So you're just going to slide that up in there, and then we're going to do our best to align it with the hole there in the base plate and the hole in the frame of the vehicle. And you can start threading that on there once you get it lined up. We need to do this on both sides. So now that we have our base plate loosely installed on the vehicle, we're going to go ahead and reinstall our bumper. So now that we have our bumper on the vehicle here, make sure you go ahead and plug back in your electrical connector here. You got a couple push pin fasteners at the top, and then at the bottom we have those 8 flange nuts we need to reinstall. So now that we have our bumper beam re-secured to the vehicle here, we're going to begin tightening up the bolts to our base plate, starting with that top one using a 16mm socket. Then we're going to jump down here to the bottom one, and we're going to switch over to a 3/4 inch socket. So now that we have all of our hardware secure, we'll come back with our torque wrench and torque everything down to the specifications in your instructions. So the next thing we need to do is we need to install our safety cables. So in order to do this, you're going to have one per side. You're going to loop it around the base plate kit, and then you're going to come up and over the frame. And over here on the driver's side, you're going to have a little tab here on the frame that you can use your little quick link to secure it to. But basically, we just need to make sure that the safety cable wraps around the frame and our base plate kit and doesn't get in the way of any components on the vehicle, such as the steering or the sway bar. So you can pretty much attach it however you like. You just need to make sure all those criteria are met. Now we don't have that same tab over here on the passenger side, so we just clip the cable to itself once we routed it around the base plates and the frame. So now we're going to be trimming our skid shield here. Now in your instructions, there's going to be 2 little templates that you're going to cut out. So all I did was just cut those out with a pair of scissors, and I taped them to the inside here. They are labeled driver and passenger side. Now your instructions state to find these bosses on either side and match up this line here with the center of those bosses, and then you measure down a certain amount specified in the instructions. And now what we're going to do is we're pretty much just going to cut each of these out in the exact same way. You'll start out with a 3/8 inch drill bit, drill out your 4 corners, and you'll come back with a cutting tool of your choice. We're going to use a Dremel and remove the rest of the material. So now that we have our panel trimmed, we can go ahead and reinstall on our vehicle here. It is a little tight up top underneath the bumper there and the top of the base plates, but we were able to squeeze it in there. So now we're just going to secure it using the factory fasteners. And that's going to do it for our look and installation of the Demco tabless base plate kit here on our 2022 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited.